Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Francis Edit, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. Till April 10th. Federal government leaves 8,611 Nigerians who have refused to collect their passports. Plus, Norway approves $7 billion aid package for Ukraine. We will The first report this afternoon is that President Mohamed Buhari 200 naira, 500 naira and 1,000 naira banknotes till April 10th. Buhari, who made this known in his nationwide broadcast, directed the CBN to make the new notes available to all citizens. The president further apologized to Nigerians over the difficulty experienced in the implementation of the naira redesign policy.
During the extended phase of the deadline for currency swap, I listened to invaluable pieces of advice from well-meaning citizens and institutions across the nation. I similarly consulted widely with representatives of the state governors as well as the Council of State. Above all, as an administration that respects the rule of law, I have also noted that the subject matter is before the courts of our land and some pronouncements have been made, and that the old 200 naira banknote be released back into circulation, and that it should also be allowed to circulate as legal tender with the new 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes for 60 days from February 10th, 2023 to April 10th, 2023, when the old 200 naira note ceases to be legal tender. In line with Section 20, subsection 3 of the CBN Act 2007, all existing old 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes remain redeemable at CBN and designated points.
In the meantime, President Buhari has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to intensify collaboration with different anti-corruption agencies in checking the activities of those bent on frustrating the smooth implementation of the currency implementation should be made to bear the full weight of the law. Meanwhile, the President has revealed that 2.1 trillion naira initially held outside the banking system had been successfully retrieved since the commencement of the CBN cash policy.
That any institution side, I have directed the CBN to deploy all legitimate resources and legal means to ensure that our citizens are adequately educated on the policy, enjoy easy access to cash withdrawal through availability of appropriate amount of currency and the ability to make deposit corruption agencies so as to ensure that any institution or persons found to have impeded or sabotaged the implementation should be made to bear the full weight of the law.
And while the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has created a portal for the deposit of all naira notes, the Apex Bank published a notification titled Redemption of Currency on its website. The notification provided a link to the portal to enable the masses deposit old notes in their possession. According to the CBN, Nigerians can redeem their old 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes by completing an online form and generate a reference number through provision of bank verification number (BVN), email address, phone number, bank account details, depositor information including house address as well as the total amount of the denomination to be redeemed, while the 200 naira old notes be redeemed after April 10th. Still on the cash swap policy, following the persisting naira note crisis that took a different ugly toll yesterday, aggrieved residents in different states of Nigeria, including Akwa Ibom State, tripped out in protest against the lingering scarcity of 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira new naira notes. Some commercial banks in different states, including Delta, Oyo, Edo, Ondo, amongst others, reportedly closed down some of their branches, with customers who still possess the old naira notes stranded at parks, bus stops, and markets across the country. Meanwhile, policemen were mobilized to secure some of the banks in Akwa Ibom State as skirmishes of unrest were reported at the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) Udodoma, where frustrated businessmen and women displayed chunks of old naira notes still in their possession, lamented how they will dispose of them with the latest CBN order in force. They complained that the CBN's guidelines on depositing the old naira notes were too stringent and inhumane, while pleading with the government to have a human face and assuage the plight of citizens. Away from that, federal government has named about 8,611 Nigerians who have refused to collect their international passports from the Nigerian Immigration Service (NIS). The names, which are listed on the website of the Nigerian Immigration Service, was published today. According to information on the site, the earliest date of production of the passport was June 15, 2021. In March last year, Interior Minister Ogbeni Raf Aregbesola has stated that while many Nigerians had in recent time complained about their inability to procure the travel document, about 250,000 passports still remained uncollected. Meanwhile, the Federal Executive Council has approved the installation of electronic cargo tracking notes (ECTN) for seaports nationwide. It said the ECTN would tackle several challenges such as the under-declaration, concealment, and wrong classification of cargoes, which are the primary causes of revenue leakages, insecurity and safety issues at the borders. The Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, disclosed this while briefing the State House correspondent in Abuja. Sambo said the scheme, which is already operational in 26 African countries, would plunge revenue leaks and is expected to generate between $90 million to $235 million annually for the federal government. And elsewhere, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has said that the rehabilitation of 3 refineries in the country, which it has embarked on, will reduce fuel scarcity. NNPCL Executive Vice President Danladi Inuwa disclosed this during a workshop sensitization program with the Natives, a civil society organization in Abuja. He revealed that the Port Harcourt refinery will start operations by the second quarter of 2023, adding that the Warri and Kaduna refineries have been contracted to quick rehabilitation. And while the management of Nigeria's National Assembly has denied reports that its complex was besieged by the operatives of the Department of State Security (DSS), National Assembly Management Director of Information Agatha Rawlings Emmanuel, in a statement made available to newsmen in Abuja today, said the news was fake. He declared that the report was unverified, malicious, and mischievous in its entirety to mislead the public. In a separate development, the National Examinations Council (NECO) has announced the release of the result of the November-December 2022 Senior School Certificate Examination. The Registrar of NECO, Dantani Wushishi, made the announcement in Minna, Niger State. According to him, a total of 59,124 candidates sat for the examination, with 31,316 males, representing 52.96%, while 27,808, representing 47.03%, were female. He disclosed that the number of candidates who got 5 credits and above, including English language and mathematics, is 33,914, representing 57.36%. Speaking on the issue of examination malpractice, he said 11,419 candidates were booked for various forms of malpractice, as against 4,454 in 2021, which shows a rise in the number of malpractice cases. In another development, 25 inmates in custodial facilities across various commands in the country have been set free by the Nigerian Correctional Service after the completion of the time in incarceration. Controller General (CG) of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Haliru Nababa, said that those released consist of inmates that have fully served their term and are ready to be integrated into the society to contribute their quota, having been trained and coached in various vocational skills to earn a living. Speaking at the annual release and presentation of aftercare starter kits in Abuja, Nababa noted that the act of setting free ex-offenders is in fulfillment of one of the core mandates of reforming offenders and reintegrating them back into society, not only as responsible citizens, but also as productive citizens. Adequately empowered, the CG explained that the release and presentation of aftercare trade tools to the ex-convict will be replicated across the Federation. We move now to Africa, where Ivory Coast has reopened its land borders, which was closed since March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The government spokesman Amadou Coulibaly said Côte d'Ivoire had closed its land, sea and air borders on 22nd March 2020 when the world was barricaded against the pandemic. He added that while the sea and air borders reopened few months after the pandemic, the land borders remained closed. Still in Africa, the electoral body in the Democratic Republic of Congo says it has started voter registration in 7 provinces in the eastern part of the country. According to the Commission, it is the last round of voter registration ahead of the general elections scheduled for December this year. The Independent National Electoral Commission said voters will be registered in the volatile provinces of Ituri and North Kivu, as well as in the US and Canada. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian Air Force says Russia has launched a massive missile attack on critical infrastructure facilities in Ukraine, firing at least 32 missiles. The agency, who posted on Telegram, said at least 16 of the missiles were destroyed by Ukrainian air defenses, while some of the Kh-22 cruise missiles reached their targets, hitting critical infrastructure. The chief of staff to President Zelensky, Andres Yermak, said Russia also launched drones in the attacks, noting that there were no casualties or injuries recorded. Still on the foreign scene, Norwegian Parliament has backed an aid package worth 75 billion Norwegian kroner, which is $7.4 billion for Ukraine, to be spread out over 5 years. According to reports, Norway's parliament is backing the plan, first presented on February 6 to the center-left government. The plan pledges 15 billion kroner annually in civilian and military aid between 2023 and 2027. Meanwhile, most Norwegian parties also approved the government's proposal to increase aid to developing countries affected by the war in Ukraine by 5 billion kroner due to the increase in food prices. And still to come in the news, Salernitana fire coach Nicole's second time in 1 month. Please stay with us.
As Nigeria prepares for the general elections holding from 25th February 2023, broadcasters are enjoined to make ethical reportage their watchword. All political programs shall observe the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code and other extant laws relating to broadcasting. All broadcasting stations must adhere to the principles of pluralism and ensure equitable airtime to all political parties or views. All political programs shall adhere to the general principles of legality, decency, and truthfulness. For the avoidance of doubt, the broadcast of a political campaign, jingle, announcement, or any other form of partisan party identification or symbol ends not later than 24 hours before polling day. Hate speech is prohibited. Be professional. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer Management.
Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of the news stories. On a business news, the Nigeria National Petroleum Company (NNPC) Limited says Nigeria will be saving about 367.2 billion naira annually through the domestic refining of crude oil to premium motor spirit (PMS), popularly called petrol. NNPC's Group Chief Executive Officer Melekari explained that the refining of crude oil into PMS in Nigeria would compress the logistic cost around petrol supply by about 17 naira per litre. Carey also stated that efforts were ongoing to get the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries ready in the first half of this year. Still in business, inflation soared to 21.82% in January 2023 as the country struggled to grapple with persistent fuel and naira crisis. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, January's inflation rate is 0.48 percentage points higher than the 21.34% that was recorded in December 2022. It stated that January's inflation was driven by increases in the prices of food items such as bread and cereal, potato, yam, and rate eased after rising consistently for 11 months, while 2022 started with an inflation rate of 15.60%. In Hull, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria sat at 53. The president of the body, Professor Cyril Osifo, in a statement said the current state of the economy caused by the scarcity of the new naira notes may also give rise to cases of morbidity and mortality. According to him, the federal government's institutions now reject the old naira notes and insist on payment of services through confirmed transfer services or payments with bank tellers into their accounts. He also berated the judiciary for failing to align with the masses in the current circumstances, as most of the courts in the land had stopped collecting old naira notes from people gearing to file processes in court registries. Osifo further reminded the federal and state governments to review the operational modalities of social health insurance in the country, particularly to ensure that all endeavors are inclined on the path of lawful pillars in the plan of action. Still in Hull, the Director General of the World Health Organization (WHO), Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, says 10,000 COVID-19 deaths were recorded globally in 1 week. The WHO DG disclosed this at a virtual media briefing on global health issues monitored by newsmen. Though he said hospitalization and deaths have declined, 10,000 deaths a week is too many for a preventable disease. Reports say in Nigeria, 266,583 COVID-19 cases and 3,155 deaths were recorded across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory as of February 10, 2023. In sports, Serie A strugglers Salernitana has fired coach David Nicola for the second time in a month. Salernitana, just 4 points above the relegation zone, officially confirmed the contract termination in a statement on their website. Recall that in mid-January, Salernitana had announced Nicola's termination after an 8-2 rout against Atlanta Regamo. But the club's CEO, Danilo Ivolino, changed his mind and gave a reprieve to the coach, who unexpectedly kept the club up last season. Still in sports, the Football Association FA has opened an investigation following Manchester City's 3-1 win at Arsenal on Wednesday night. The home fans threw objects at City playmaker Kevin De Bruyne during the match. De Bruyne had opened the scoring in the game before Bukayo Saka made it 1-1 from the penalty spot. The champions took the maximum points and overtake Arsenal at the top of the Premier League table after further goals from Jack Grealish and Erling Haaland. On our entertainment news, Nigerian music is set to take center stage at the NBA All-Star Game in Utah as superstars Rema, Burna Boy, and Tems are set to entertain spectators at the halftime show on 19 February 2023. The announcement made by the NBA is coming off the back of Phil's recent performance at the Brooklyn Nets Stadium, where he dazzled fans with his hit singles. The choice of the Nigerian trio to perform at the NBA All-Star Game is another high point of Nigerian music that has continued to soar in recent years, especially in the US. Meanwhile, US actress Raquel Welch, often credited with paving the way for modern-day action heroines in Hollywood films, has died at the age of 82. The star passed away peacefully yesterday after a brief illness. Welch became an international sex symbol in the 1960s, widely remembered for playing a bikini-clad cave woman in the 1966 film 1 Million Years BC. She also won a Golden Globe for her role in the 1974's The Three Musketeers. And that's all we have for you this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 4. I am Francis Edit. Many thanks for watching and have a great day.